Is anybody there? Three. Okay. Jeez. Danny Kelly. Hello. Man, that was hard. I've changed things up a little bit since I was on this computer last, and they wanted me to download new software. So, hey, y'all. Welcome to my home. And it is my home, too. I'm not in my shop. Hey there, Huckleberry, Hilltown, Zeph, Darla, Tex, Justin, Danny, and waiting on Wee Tree. Well, I guess I'll. Okay, thanks, Wee. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. This is called Classic right here. They wanted me to download new software and all that before I could start, or they offered me Classic after, I was just about ready to give up. So, yeah, we had a cancer debacle. My wife has been having trouble digesting. When she eats, she immediately gets sick. Uh, she's having a hard time catching her breath. She's out of breath really quick. And my wife has had cancer before, and she had half a lung removed. And then that was major surgery, and it took a long time to get rid of it, a couple of years to get over it. And about the time she got over that, she had to have another surgery called a fundoplication, which her stomach had moved up into the area where her lung used to be. And she had acid that was coming back up, and she had to sleep sitting up. So they did thanks, Wayne. They did something called a fundoplication, which moves the stomach and then closes the esophagus a little bit. And anyway, hey, Drew. So, and then she had gallbladder surgery, and it's just like every 2 years she has a major surgery. So, this latest thing, we go to the doctor and, describing the symptoms, and she has had a Willow, Grizz. She's had this cyst, and it's 1.2 centimeters. And she's had it for a while, and they've told her since she's had cancer to keep an eye on it, to get it CAT scanned every year to make sure it hasn't grown. Well, it's been 1.2 centimeters. Hey, Shadow Dragon, Smith and Wesson. 1.2 centimeters this whole time. Well, we went and we had a CAT scan. They're trying to find out why she's feeling this way, why she's short of breath. And the tumor, the cyst, is now 12 centimeters. And just for reference, that's 12 centimeters. That is 12 centimeters. That's softball sized. Hey there, D. Yeah, I watch your channel. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but glad you're here. DN Najillion 7. I watch your channel, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So we're terrified now. So they send us to a specialist, and the cyst was on her kidney. I may not have mentioned that. So we go to the specialist, and she's got a grim look on her face, and we've had about 4 or 5 days now to think about it. And the doctor says 12 centimeters, we're pretty certain what this is, for it to have grown from 1.2 to 12 in the space of a year. Only one thing grows that fast. Hey, Tomo, good to see you. And that's cancer. And she said that's at the top of our list. There's a very slim chance that it might be a cyst that's blood filled, but based on its density, which was 71%, we're going to go with cancer. And what we want to do is have you go for an MRI. And that will tell us for absolute certain whether it's cancer. So they transfer her from that doctor to another doctor who specializes in kidney removal uh, and cancers of the kidney. So, there's a few days between each appointment. In the meantime, we go to a lawyer and we double check our wills and we sign stuff, and we're making plans for the end, because this is not something she's likely to live through, this kind of cancer. Hold on, the story doesn't end on a bad note here. So yesterday, the day before yesterday, we'd gone to our lawyers and had our wills notarized and signed and made all legal. And we had discussed, arrangements and all that. And yesterday, her doctor called, and I ran over to my wife with a phone because for some reason they won't talk to me, even though I'm her husband. Thank you. That was kind of weird. I wasn't gonna remove it, but it is odd, and it'll only get worse if it's that weird. So thanks, wait. So I bring the phone over to my wife, and she puts it on speaker, and it's the original doctor who diagnosed her with cancer. And I'm thinking they want to move her appointment up because it's that bad, right? So the doctor starts off with an apology. And turns out she doesn't have cancer. Turns out what she was lacking was a decimal point in the right place. I'm not kidding. 1.2 and 12 are very dissimilar. Same numbers, but difference in size. 1.2 centimeters is a whole lot different than 12, or millimeters, centimeters. So, yeah, somebody along the line had moved the decimal point from between the one and the two over to the other side of the two. That's how close we came to making major changes in our life. We have life insurance, and we were even thinking of going ahead and getting, because if you have a disease that is absolutely you're going to die from, you can get an advance on your life insurance. And we were thinking about doing that and just going and having a good time until, she can't stand to be out anymore. So anyway, that was over. And what a nightmare for 2 weeks having to deal with the likelihood, and we believed it was a likelihood that my wife was going to die from this cancer. And talk about a weight being lifted. And I had, my wife, of course, she had her own emotions, her life ending, and I was feeling guilty. First of all, I was feeling sorry for myself that I was going to have to go through the rest of my life alone, and I was feeling guilty that I was feeling sorry for myself instead of feeling sorry for her. Of course, I was feeling sorry for my wife, but I was also thinking about what life was going to be like for me by myself. And yeah, it was not a good couple of weeks. And to have the doctor was afraid we were going to be mad, and at first we weren't. We were relieved, and we even thanked her. Of course, now we're a little bit angry that somewhere along the line, some careless person. I mean, it's a careless mistake. Hey, Ricky, good to see you, man. Smith and Wesson, Misty Valley. So anyway, she's not going to die. We're not going to sue. We're just very, very thankful. Hey, Mr. Fatty, that she doesn't have cancer. She does have issues, and we got to figure out what's wrong with her, because she is not having a good quality of life. Yeah, a new lease on life. Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, it gives you a new appreciation for your soulmate, your life mate. And just the thought of having to go through the rest of my life alone with my dogs. Hey, Greg. Well, it'll be Greg. It'll be a rerun. It'll upload. Lone Star. Hey there. So when we got the news that it was cancer, a few days ago, we decided to go by the grocery store over in the neighborhood where the doctor was, because we were going to load up on groceries, because my wife wasn't sure. Hey there, Missouri Blackbird. My wife wasn't sure how much longer she was going to feel good enough to do that kind of stuff. So we went to a Kroger's that we don't usually go. and some people call it the rich people Kroger's, and some people have another name for it because I'll tell you where it is. It's on a main road, and on this end of the road, it's nothing but projects, government subsidized housing, row after row after row after row of housing. And on the other end of the street, it's a big gated community where all the really wealthy people live. So you have two sets of people who both think that the world revolves around them. And, the rich people and the very rich and the very poor who are used to government taking care of them from cradle to grave and paying for their groceries and they have that attitude. And then you have the rich people who think nobody else has the right to exist or certainly not shop in their store. So anyway, we went to that store, and we get a few groceries, and we get in line, and there's three people ahead of us and a fourth shopping cart. We call them buggies here. So if I say buggy, it's a shopping cart. And there's nobody at this fourth shopping cart. So the first person, they check out, they put all their groceries on the conveyor and they check out. The second person does the same thing, checks out. The third person, they check out. And all this span of time, this has probably been a good 10, 12 minutes. And when I first got there, my assumption was this person who was, hey, Forerunner Jones, this person who wasn't here at this cart, my first assumption was that they had forgotten something and gone back to get it. That's normal. I think we've all done that. But at this point now, it's been so long that now my assumption is that this person maybe forgot their wallet and just abandoned their cart because it's been that long. And now there's nobody at the cash register except the personless cart in front of us. And the cashier, she's kind of gonna go around it or what? Come on, I'm standing here with nothing to do. So I moved the cart out of my way and I pushed my cart forward and I put my groceries on the conveyor. And here comes the person who belongs to that cart, and she is mad. And I'm going to use language that she used. There's some ladies in here, and maybe I won't use that language. I'll use the MF, okay? She starts off with a MF. You got no right to move my buggy. And I said, well, I wouldn't have if I thought you were coming back, but it was so long. My assumption was that you left. I mean, that would be a natural assumption based on the length of time. I initially thought that, what I told you, that somebody forgot something and gone to get it. She said, yeah, I had to go get, well, okay, lady, sorry, I moved your buggy. I'm going to take my stuff off the conveyor, put it in my buggy and let you go. Motherfucker, you ain't letting me do shit. And it's just on and on and on, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. I got a gun on my hip, okay? Concealed. But number one, you have to avoid drama, especially with drama queens. Number two, when you're carrying a pistol, you got to go to far, far greater lengths to not have interactions with people like that you can avoid. I mean, I would have left if it had come down to, the point where it was going to escalate even worse. I'd have just left the store, me and my wife, left our groceries, left the store, get out of that situation. Who knows what she had? She may have had a gun or a knife or whatever, but she was clearly not right, especially after I offered, and didn't just offer, I did. I put all my groceries back in my cart, moved my cart out of the way. She moved her car, and the whole time now I'm a racist motherfucker. I'm a racist ass motherfucker. Because let me tell you how racist I am. I can look at a shopping cart with nobody there and tell it belonged to a black person. That's how racist I am. It's magic. Don't ask me how it works. So, yeah, that was right after we got the news that my wife had cancer. So we were not happy. And then to have this person, I'm a Christian, and sometimes I believe when you're down, the devil just keeps putting people in front of you or situations in front of you, trying to get you to forsake God or question your faith. And we didn't. We know who it was. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that all black people are like this. The only reason I mentioned the fact that she was black is because she called me a racist. Like I somehow have this magic power to look at a shopping cart and see what race, is pushing it, even though they're not there. That's retracted. Huh. So anyway, that's my story. And sorry you had to go through all this trouble for a live stream. So let's read some comments. Yeah, hood rat. And I mean, this rich subdivision, there's lots of black folks that live in that rich subdivision. So there's hood rats of all shapes and colors. So I'm not singling out a race because this happened to me. The only reason I mentioned that she was black is because she called me a racist, and I couldn't possibly know who's pushing a buggy with no person there. Anyway, L'chaim, Prost. It sure does seem. I mean, when I was growing up, all my life up until recently, racist was a word you did not want to be called. You did your best to avoid being called a racist, and you tried to, if you thought you might have a racist thought or attitude, you tried to change it. And now I think people have given up and don't care. Here's the honest truth. I don't care if people call me racist anymore. I like President Trump, and if that makes me a racist, so be it. Call me a racist. Uh, I'm a Christian. If that makes me a racist, alrighty then. I believe we should have a border wall to protect us from people who are coming here to do bad things. I love Mexican people, but I want Mexican people to come here legally. I want to be able to determine who's good for our country and who's not good for our country. That's reasonable. That's not racist. And if somebody calls that racist, okay, whatever, call it racist. If it makes you feel good to put that term on the fact that I want our country safe from people who may come here to do us harm. I've been all along the border. Much of my life was spent working back and forth across the border states and very close to the border. I've been over the border several times. There are good people over there, and there are some very, very bad people over there. And unfortunately, right now, the bad people are coming into our country to expand their enterprises. They're already here, but you dislike most people equally. Yeah. Me too, Darla. That's all I want. We have laws, and there's plenty of ways that people come here legally. And I just want to enforce our laws. I want people to be able to come to this country. I've been to other countries, and people come here for a reason. I've been to Mexico, and it's not a place I would move. There's not people busting down a wall trying to get into Mexico, and there's a reason for that. And this is still a good country. We have a lot of problems right now, but people are still coming here in droves, and the American dream is still alive. There's people that have come here illegally from other countries and succeeded and done well and didn't break our laws getting here. And I want everyone worldwide to have an opportunity to come here legally and pursue their dreams. That's my feeling on that. But nowadays, and here's the thing too, that the people that are calling you racist the most often are white people who, I think people who go throwing around the word racist all the time are racists. You know what they say when you're pointing your finger at somebody, there's four fingers. Well, actually, there's three. There's three fingers pointing back at you when you point your finger at somebody. Yeah, the left. And here's another thing. I used to be a Democrat. I used to vote Democrat. I used to be a card-carrying member of the Democratic Party. Back when it was the John F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Back when it was that Democrat Party. But over the years, the socialists and the extremists took over the Democratic Party and moved it so far to the left that I could not be a part of the Democratic Party anymore. So I vote Republican because I have to now. And also, the Republican Party went from extreme conservatism, I think I said that right, to somewhat in the middle of the road. So that's what I am. I'm a reasonable person. There's things that I'm against and things I'm for. I'm against the death penalty, totally against the death penalty. And the reason is there's far, far too many that get exonerated after being on death row for 10 or 15 years through DNA evidence. There's way too many people that have been found innocent on death row. Also, have you seen the color of most death row people? Why is it that most everybody on death row is black? You know, there are FBI statistics that say uh, black people commit. See, this is going to be perceived as racist, talking about stats and figures and stuff like that. Okay, you know, I don't think I'm racist. I think I am a realist. I can look at numbers and figures and repeat them. Most violent crime is committed by black folks. So it would make sense that a higher number of black folks would be on death row, but not the extent that it is. And just look at some of the crimes that white people get let off for, that black people go to jail for years and years. There is absolutely a disparity in the fairness of the justice system. Some people get justice and some people don't. So therefore, I'm against the death penalty. Way too many people have been exonerated later on in life, or witnesses have retracted their stories. Yeah, more about, oh, that's for sure. Money buys justice. The more money you have, the more justice you can afford. That's a fact. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. Yeah, that's a fact too. Yeah. Well, I'm glad nobody's taken this the wrong way. I I I hesitated about talking about this because it's hard for a white person to talk about race because when you talk about race, you're automatically perceived as a racist, and you know it's getting harder and harder to be logical. Okay, okay, Lee, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Flogging. Oh, flogging, huh? Well, I'll tell you. You know, speaking of prisons, it is huge business. Uh, I do believe there are victimless crimes that are due far less punishment. You know, people doing drugs. If they haven't committed crimes to get the drugs, I don't think jail is a place for drug users. I think therapy is. You know, I was a drug user at one point in my life, and I stopped, of course. Okay, we take care now. Thanks for being here. And you know, people can change. I changed. The reason I did drugs was, well, it doesn't matter. I did drugs. I did a lot of booze, a lot of drugs, and I stopped. And I didn't commit any crimes besides doing the drugs. And I think victimless crimes should, those people should not be in the same prison as people that have committed murder or, you know, there's a huge difference between a guy who sold an ounce of pot than a guy who walked into a bank with a gun and robbed everybody. You know, I mean, I think we really need to readjust our the, the penal system. Well, that's for sure. Yep. Yeah, that's free music. Yeah, for sure. There are lots and lots of black folks that are leaving the Democrat plantation, and that's what to me Democrats are now. Is they thrive on the people who are held captive by the gimme programs. And I say held captive because once you get into them programs, there's you're penalized if you make money. If you get a job and you can get off it, well, they jerk the house up from underneath you. You know, the house that they're paying for you. So yeah, it's a whole racket that most people don't know how it works. And I think those are the Democrats' built-in voters because uh, typically it's the less educated, the more poor people that vote Democrat. Look at Antifa. Look at all those protesters. They're not people that are getting up and going to work every day. Those are kids with no jobs. with some of them have massive college debt. Uh, there's a huge difference between Democrats and the rest of the world, the working people, the people that are productive and keep the world turning. I hope I'm not sounding preachy. It's just a conversation I wanted to have. And I wanted to tell you about the cancer thing because, my God, what a scare that was. And all because some careless person moved a dot. A dot made us go buy groceries for a couple of months and slightly alter our wills and make plans for the dogs. And yeah, a dot, one dot did that. Amazing. And it's also, this is also a good thing because, boy, it sure has caused us to really think about how much we love each other and how much we matter to each other and what life would be like with one of us gone and one of us stuck here by ourselves. I mean, I have nobody. Bev was right next door, right behind us, the house behind us. That's our friend Bev. And we think of her as our sister. Hello, Allie Booklet. Hi there. But that's different than somebody who loves you that way. We love Bev, but I'd still be alone besides having a friend. I have a lot of friends, but that's not like having a wife. And anyway, so let's talk about you. How are y'all doing? Let me know. Well, someone on drugs killed a loved one in a car. Well, that's murder. I mean, Greg, I'm not saying people should get away with murder. I'm saying a victimless crime. That's not a victimless crime. Yeah, you could say a misplaced decimal turned out to be a good thing. But on the other hand, what if somebody had had all they could take of sickness and cancer and surgeries and pain, and when they got the cancer notice, like we did, what if they went and committed suicide? Or what if they were fixing to buy a house and they decided not to because of the cancer, and they lost that deal, that fell through? Or what if they transferred money out of an account that was making a lot of money for them and transferred it into an account that they could spend out of? Now it's too late to put it back in. I mean, a lot of things could have happened. Not to us because we don't have that kind of money, but oh lordy. Hey Jason, I didn't see you in here. Why are some drugs illegal and others not? I do not know. I smoked a lot of pot when I was a kid and a young man, and over the course of my adult life, a joint here and there. I'll be honest. Uh, I like pot. If pot was legal, I'd probably smoke one every once in a while. I don't want to be out of my head like I used to, but I don't drink. I don't do any drugs besides the ones I'm prescribed. But every once in a while, I miss a joint. I miss pot. I did a lot of other drugs that I would never go do again, but I just can't imagine a pothead being put in the same jail as murderers and rapists. It's just mind boggling. Well, I've been talking almost a half an hour. GCMAF. I'll look that up here in a little bit. Well, I guess I'm going to sign off. It's been 30 minutes. Cancer cure. Yeah. Hey, Tina. Yeah. Yeah. And some states here are making it legal. Oh, Louisiana, the state we just moved from, just made it legal for medicinal purposes. But I think slowly, I think in my lifetime, we will see marijuana legalization. I mean, there's no reason it shouldn't be any more against the law than alcohol or tobacco is. Oh, you're in your shop, Greg? Good deal. That's true, Fred. Yeah, there's a lot of money that a lot of. I think a lot of our laws sure are revolving around money because look, they get to confiscate property and yep. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go if I can figure out how to shut this off. I had a hard time getting it turned on, so here we go. End live stream. Thank you very much for showing up, y'all. I'm fixing to go to my shop and glue some handles on a knife. Oh, look, before you go, I am so proud of this. I have totally redesigned my knife sheaths. Uh, it's probably, yeah, probably too much light. And I'm real happy with the way they're coming out. And let me show you something else. I figured out, I looked and looked and looked for how to do this wood grain on leather. And I finally figured it out. Nobody would tell you how to do it. I found one video online. So when I get good at this, I'm going to do a video and show everybody how to do it. Thanks for showing up, y'all. Take care. And we gone.